Okay, a little unfinished business. If you can go to your phones, I sent something out on your phones. I thought very fascinating. In the going through the daf, we're discussing all the hilchos of Avelus, and we spoke about cutting the hair. We spoke about of all the different things, not cutting hair, ripping, kriya, kviyas hamita. We didn't mention anything about covering mirrors. We didn't mention anything. The first thing you know when you come to an Oval's house is the mirror is covered. What's the source for covering mirrors? What's the source? That's not in the Gemara, right? What's the source? Very bloggable material. What's the source for what? For covering mirrors? So I'm going to share with you what I found in the Shir Mitzvah Melacha. But first, let's go through a Yerushalmi. This is a Yerushalmi in, of course, Moed Katan, and it says who's bothering me? Somebody wants to come in. He always comes late. I'm not going to think with it. You get a piece of kishka, no kishka. So now, they would sleep on beds that overturned. Third line down. Bakapara Omar, ikunun achas toiva hoysali b'seich beisecha. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I have a beautiful tzlem. I have a beautiful person. Kibitzelem lekim asas Adam. HaKadosh Adam was created in the image of God. I have this image, and what did this person do? Vigoramtani l'kfaisa, and you caused me to overturn it. You caused to go ahead and bring death to the world. Because of your Averis, you caused me to overturn this beautiful pure ikunan. So therefore what? Therefore, you turn over your bed, right? Af ata kappa mitascha, so you turn over your bed. So one reason, just this is a reason for what? For turning over your bed. The is the mafkin lishna. There are those who say the lashon of turning over your bed is yechafe hasirsor, turn over the middleman. Sirsor is what is usually called is the middleman when you have a transaction. There's a sirsor. Now here the reference is a reference to your bed, which is the middleman. Look, if you look at the carbon 8 on the side, it says yechape hasirsor. Hainu amita, the bed. Shu hasirsor, the middleman. Libriya sa'adam, to create a person. Ayidei zivuk hanaseh b'socho. Marital relations take place in the bed. So the bed is the sirsor, is the middleman of what? Of bringing conception about. And therefore, okay, so what happened over here? You went ahead and you turn over the bed because you caused the death. Now death is bringing death to the world. The person's dying. So you caused the bed that brought this person in the world, you overturned. Why does this have to do with a mirror? So take a look at the second piece. V'hine, bismanenu, ein kfiyas hamita. This is from the Shor Mitzvah Melacha. V'hine bismanenu, ein kfiyas hamita. I hope I'm recording. Am I recording? I am recording. It said it. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Okay, this that won't be good. Okay, so now, hine bismanenu ein kfiyas hamita noyeg k'moshe kosav b'shulchan aruch yaredeis from peivav and best. We spoke out. Why don't we do kfiyas hamita? Because of paganism. Now, the kisui hamaris and the covering of the mirrors, hein tachas kfiyas hamita. In place of kfiyas hamita, that's the reason we cover the mirrors. Now, what obviously is the connection between what? Covering mirrors and kfiyas hamita. Umekoirei nira migamara la'el, the Tani, this is in Bavli, the Tani bar kapara, the mustik yoini nasati behen. I've given you my the mustik yoini, the adam that's slelom alekim. Ubi Yerushalmi perikimel halacha hey, which you just saw. Afata kapi mitascha. Since you went ahead and ruined my slam by sinning, you went ahead and caused me to be, to die. So now you turn over your bed. The istam afki lishno yechape hasirsur. And there those in Yerushalmi use the lashon mat, turn over the middleman. The middleman is what? Is the bed that brings about conception. We cover the mirrors. Why are you turning over the bed? Because of what? The bed brought about man. So why are we covering the mirror? To say it's not the time for having marital relations. right? The Mara, that brings about a person's looks and it's an issa putting on makeup. Women are going to use the mirror. So therefore, that's the reason for Kviyas Amita of covering the mirror, because of the connection to Kviyas Amita, that you brought man in the world, and by sinning you cause destruction, and man's not in the world anymore. That's now two other reasons. Well, if you divri haridva hanal, the words of the Ritva Haniskalal that we mentioned before, if that's the case, it's asa even avelim to come to sleep. The reason we cover the mirrors is why? Guys, you're not allowed to daven opposite the mirror, and we daven in the house of the Avel. If he's saying, you would have to cover the whole house, like the first side that it has to do with what? With Perivirivya and the overturning of man who's created as a result. You'd have to cover all the mirrors. But like the reason it's only mispalim, then you wouldn't have to cover in your bedroom, because no one's davening upstairs. No one's davening upstairs. The minig is that what? We cover all mirrors. Well, if he's there, the reason for like of Perivirivya, and that we say that we cover the mirror because of bad spirits that appear in the nemus of the Mara. Again, there is a ritva quotes the Gemara. I think if you look in the mirror, Anida can see Anida looks in the mirror, just you could have to see something. I don't know. If you said tzrichen l'chases gam kol leficha tzrichen l'chases gam kol atmunos, you'd have to cover all the pictures. Commercial kosav. The Sefer Kodesh or the Vash, the Rabbein, Rabbi Yonis Eibeshitz, or the Prat B'Makashim Espalim Shosel Espalim Connected Tmuna. You shouldn't opposite the mirror. So very fascinating, giving reasons for why covering the mirror. Whether it's al Tefillah, al Ruach Ra, you have to cover pictures as well. If it's al Tefillah, you only have to cover the places that we daven, or the Shermis and Malach is suggesting, based upon the Yerushalmi, that we cover it because of what? Because the mirror brings about attraction and brings about the sirsu, the bed, and that's where people are conceived.
The mirror is the reflection. You can only see the shade, and you can see the reflection only in the mirror, because the shade cannot be seen with the naked eye, but the reflection of the mirror, you can see the shade. That's what Kabbalah brings down. So that's I think that's when we were saying about the shade in the mirror.
Yeah.
I thought the bed would have something to do with the same reason the kids don't go to. In the Yerushalayim, the kids don't go to the cemetery because Zara. So I thought that the bed had something to do with that, the overturning of the bed.
Don't know. I mean, I just brought in what I know. I just put it over here. This is I thought fascinating, because it doesn't appear anywhere in the Gemara with the source, and this is the source is Kfiyas Amita. So even though we don't do Kfiyas Amita, right, but it does, the Kfiyas Amita does play a role in terms of the Mara. Just to give today's daf is again a continuation of yesterday, and we're going to conclude the Masechta with speaking a lot about death and the Malach HaMaves, and some of the Hespedim, the very difficult Hespedim to understand. We'll get on the Amid Beis, Bez Hashem Yisparach. So we're up to the bottom of Chav Zayin Amid Beis. It says that it says during Chol Hamoed they used to take a man, they'd put him in the street, and they'd leave him there to go ahead and be marba b'chi, that people, to bring about people, crying and whatnot. However, women they never put in the street ever. Even if you forget about Chol Hamoed, even b'chol they didn't put women in the street. Amri Nadoi, it says mifnei hakovid, because of COVID. So again, I spoke out in the Mishnah that because there may be some blood, but the Mishnah got it from this Gemara. Amri Nadoi, lo shanu, they didn't put a woman in the street, elachaya, a woman who died in childbirth, because again you're going to have the blood oozing from her. Other women you would be able to go ahead and put in the street, because again there's no concern about that. Even other women you do not put in the street. Miriam, and Miriam was nifter, and she was buried there. Exactly where she went ahead and she was died. Samach to that you buried her. So you see that the certain food of a woman, nothing whatsoever to do with the oozing of blood, simply a limit from Miriam. Miriam bin Ashika Mesa. Miriam also died. Just as Aaron died in Neshika, just as Moshe died in Neshika, she died in Neshika. And Neshika, the Gemara in Bracha says, is the easiest Misa, right? Says the Gemara, Asya Sham Sham in Moshe. By Moshe it says what? Vayom Hashem Moshe Eved Hashem. She says Vayom Hashem Miriam, Vatama Hashem Miriam, Sham Sham. Just like Moshe died by Neshika, so taught my Miriam died by Neshika. Why doesn't it say it by Miriam outright? Right? Says the Gemara. Why doesn't it say that what she died al pi Hashem? It says it's the Ganai to go ahead compare HaKadosh Baruch Hu to a man, to a woman. So therefore, it doesn't say. Amravami Lama this Mises Miriam the Parshas Paraduma. Why are we soymech the Misa of Miriam to the Parsha of Paraduma? We're soymech the Misa of Miriam to the Parsha Paraduma. Loy Melacha to tell you Ma Paraduma mechaperes, just like a Paraduma is mechaper. Af Misasan shel Tzadik mechaperes. So too the Misa of Tzadik is mechaperes. It's a little difficult to understand because Paraduma is not a mekapara. Paraduma is a metaking. The Paraduma is metaking from Tumas Mace. So what do you mean it's mechaper? So you look at the top Taisus, Ibar warns it. It says Taisus, Ma paradum mechaperes, pirish al maisa ego. So again, it's not speaking about any paraduma, it's speaking about the first paraduma. The first paraduma is what? Is mechaper maisa ego, uchalminu b'medrish, mashal leben hashivcha shetina, palton shamelach, the daughter of a maid who goes ahead and dirties the palace of the king. Ayman Melech, the Melech says, Tavei imoi, let the mother come, v'tiknet soyas bina, and clean away the feces of the child. Afcheda egel tavei para, the mother of the egel, v'tikonech escheit haben at the mekana. That's the medrash. So we go.
Paradum was in the cases, huh?
What? A paradum is a zacha? Yeah, Mandy.
Yeah.
A para aduma is a zacha. I mean,
this day and age.
Yeah, I was just thinking transgender, but I Mandy. I thought I was going to say. I thought you've been corrupted, Mandy. You know.
Even the cows, right? It's like the time of the.
What was the
table.
Bruce Jenner's cat? Bruce Jenner's dog. Mandy, I think you've been drinking a little early. It's in the Okay, Mandy, don't worry, it's all on it. Posterity, don't worry. Anyway, so it's very geschmack. So it's mechaper. Now, I just let me just finish. I have to get a Gemara. I forgot to get a Gemara. Rosh Hashanah. So Amra Vaynach Lama Nisra Mises Miriam Pashas Paraduma Lama Chama Paraduma Mechaperes Af Misasan Shel Tzadik Mechaperes. Just like a Paraduma is Mechaper, so to the Mises of Tzadik is Mechaperes. And therefore, they have the death of Miriam juxtaposed to Paraduma. Amra Velazah Lama Nismacha Mises Aaron. Lama Nismacha Mises Aaron LeBig De Kahuna. Now it says Aaron took off the begotten. That's like he had to take off the begotten before he died, right? And he gave it to Elazar. Ma big dekhunim mechaprim. The Gemara says in Tezayin in Erchin that the begotten of the mechaprim different ones than the ilf, lashon hara, and the tzitz for gases ruach, all the this week's parsha, right? There you go. Afmi, you got it in. Afmi sasan shel tzadikim mechaperes. So too the tzaddik is mechaperes. So now you have. The sources for it's very interesting. You have two source. You have a source over here, and listen. There's another Gemara that speaks about Mrs. Tzaddik. And Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, Daf Yomi Moed. It would be very good if you're looking at Yud Zayin on the base. No wonder you can't find the Gemara. Okay. Anyway. Okay, we have four Tanesim, guys. You know, we had the four Tanesim, right? We had Asar B'Teves, Shavas B'Tamas, Tisha B'Av, and Shlaim Gedalia. Asar B'Teves has to do with the Churban Bayis, right? Shavas B'Tamas, Churban Bayis. Tisha B'Av, not Churban Bayis, right? And then you have Shlaim Gedalia, right? So not really. That was after Churban Bayis. It was the governor. It was after Churban. So now, what does it say? So it says, what's the 3-to-1 ratio, right? It says that he was killed by Yishmael ben Netanya. Hargul lamdecha sheshekula misasan shel tzadikim kisreifa space elokeinu. That it is the death of tzadikim is equal to the Sreifa of the Beis Hamikdash. The death of tzaddikim is equal to the Sreifa of the Beis Hamikdash. So you have two Gemaras that bring about the death of tzaddikim could go ahead and be poil. One is our Gemara. The death of tzaddikim goes ahead and what is mechaper. And another Gemara says death at tzaddikim is equal to what? To Churban Bayis. So Rabbi Yasher Ber Soloveitchik says a Gevaldig Gemara. This is what he says. There's 2 times a year we mention that Asari Ruge Malchus. There's 2 times a year, on Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur. The one on Tisha B'Av is the Asari Ruge Malchus, the death of the tzaddikim. That's for Keneged Beis Rasenu, the Sreif of our Beis Hamikdash. And in Yom Kippur we mention it what? The Shkul Keneged the Kapara that we get. So he said each one is go ahead and matches up each one. Beautiful, beautiful word from Rabbi Yasher there. Beautiful word from Rabbi Yasher there. Says the Gemara Vaita. Now the Amar B'Laz, Loma this Lomisa Saruk we did. Okay, now we're going to discuss Karis, exactly what Karis is. Now there's 2 types of Karis. There's Karis Shanim and Karis Yomim. That if a person dies a certain way, also can go ahead and connotate a Karis, despite the fact he might be a little older, as we'll see. Tanabanan, Meis Pisom, if a person dies suddenly, Zui Mises Chatufa, that's called the Mises Chatufa. Choli Yamecha, if he's sick for one day, who Mason dies, Zuhi Misa Dechufa. We'll call him Misa Dechufa. Look at Taisus, guys. Chatufa, the third one down. Chatufa Dechufa. Lo Yadana Maishno who might lay. I don't know, it's nice, etymology, different names, but again, I don't know in halacha what significance there is. Chananya ben Gamliel Oimer, Chananya ben Gamliel says, no, one day is not a misa dechufa. One day is called magefa. Of course, we see that from Yecheskel. Shneimar HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives Yecheskel a horrible piece of news. Ben Adam hineni lokech mimcha es machmad einecha b'magefa. I'm going to take away machmad einecha. It means that your wife b'magefa. Ukasiv v'adaber la'om ba'boiker v'tomas ishti be'erev. So you see that what he spoke in the morning. His wife died the day before. So it's one day. So one day it's called magefa. Shnei yamim umeis zui misa dechuya. Gimel, after 3 days and dies, Ga'ara. Arba, Nizifa. All you get in the Lashonus of anger. Chamisha, after 5 days, Zui Mrs. Kaladam. That's the norm. That's normal. It's not, that has nothing to do with Karis. Amrav Chana Micro, where's the pasuk? You see that what at 5? It says, Hein Kirvu Yomecha Lamus. Hein is Chad. Kirvu is Trey. That's 3. Yomecha Trey, your days, another 2 is 5. HaChamisha, that's 5. Hein Chad, Shekem B'Lashon Yavani, Karan La'achas Hein. Now, so that's days. So in other words, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, mashma is an Indian of that's a simon of a type of karis. However, 5 days is the norm. Meis b'chamishim shana, if a person dies 50 years, zui misu karis, that's misus karis. Chamishim ushtayim shana, 52 years, zui misu shel Shmuel Ramasi. Shmuel, fellas, is brought to the work in the Beis Hamikdash at the age of 2, right? He's brought to the Beis Hamikdash in Mishkan Shiloh at the age of 2, and then he's given and Chana had said all his days he should be given over to Hashem. What's the life of a Levi? A Levi has to retire at 50, so he lived to 52. So it wasn't an Indian word of Karis. See, this is why you can't make cheshbonis. Guys, you say a person dies young, so it's chayiv kares, 50 chayiv kares. You can't make a cheshbon like that. The raya is from Shmuel. 50 is kares when the person is supposed to live to 70 and 80. But there are people who are only supposed to live X amount of years. Shmuel was only supposed to live 52 years. Again, but I'm talking about you saying kares. That you again, but he didn't know, nothing to do with us. We're talking about chayve kares. You got to make cheshbon. You can't make this. There's other cheshbonis why people leave this world early. There's and why they stay later. It says the Gemara. So shishim zu emisas b'dei shemayim. Amar mazutra micro dechsev tavoy bekelach eli kaver. You'll go to your grave at a young age. Bekelach is b'gematria shishim havi. That's 60. That's 60. Shivim is seva, that's an old age. Shmainim is gevura, it says mamish gevura. Dechsiv, Meshon Asein Shivim Shana, V'Gevura Shmainim Shana. That's Moshe's Tehillim. Amar Rabba, Mechamishim Vat Shishim Shana, from 50 to 60, Zui Mises Karis. That's that's why we didn't consider 50 to 60. Why he only began at 60 is because of Shmuel, who lived to 52. Rabbi Yosef Kihavi Bar Shishin, the famous Gemara, when Yosef was 60 years old, he made a yantif. He made a yantif. Amra nafik li mikaris. He said, "Look, I left Karis, right? I left Karis. Amalei Abaya, and he did nafik li mar mikaris to shani mikaris to yoni minafik. What about dying 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days? So that l'chayr is what is the human dinah. Amalei nakal l'chamia palgabiyat. So said Rabbi Yosef to Abaya, listen, at least I got here. Rav Huna nanayach nafshei. Rav Huna was nifta pishoim, guys. Suddenly Rav Huna was nifta. Now, with this girl, Rav Huna, we saw earlier in the Masechta, right, a few blot ago, where he's buried, right? And Rav Chi is craving that unbelievable Gemara. So Havi Kodaina Rabbanon Tunnelhu. So they were dying. Rabbanon was scared. He died quickly. So Tunnelhu Zuga, there was this young this pair of Tamid Chamim, the Mehadayav, from the town of Mehadayav. When do we say if that person dies pisom, it's a type of karis, it's only if he didn't reach to the days of Gvura, 80 years old. I said, reached to the age of 80 years old, so he misses the shika. In other words, after 80, if no matter you die quickly, like what does everyone, your old people, they say, I'm going to die in my sleep. My mother's always telling me, that's all I want. That's what she wants. She doesn't want to be paying. That's it. Amarava, Chai Beni Umazain, very famous Gemara. Amarava, Chai life, lives your life, Beni, Banai, the children, Umazane and your Parnasa, Leibis Chus Italian Milsa, it has nothing to do with Schus, El Bimasa Italian Milsa. It has to do with Mazel. Shabbos. So it has to do with Mazel. It has to do with Mazel. You have going Shabbos? I think I have one here. I got one. Right here. I got one. Right. So now, let's see. Let's see. We'll see the Gemara. So now this is Rava, and he says Elu Masal Talim Mosa. Why the Haraba to Rav Chista, Travayu Rabbanon Tzadikim Havi. Both Rabba and Rav Chista were but Tzadikim. Mar Matzli Vasi Mitra. What's the raya? One of them davened and brought rain. Umar Matzli Vasi Mitra, and the other one davened and brought rain. In other words, this is an unbelievable sign of tzidkis. They can be meifis. They can change the climate. Rav Chista Chaya Tishim B'Tartashnin. Rav Chista lived for 92 years. Rabba Chaya Aboya, he lived for 40 years. Bei Rav Chista Shisin Hiluli, in the house of Rav Chista they had 60 weddings. Bei Rabba Shisin Tichlei, and Rabba's house they had 60 wailings, 60 funerals, awful things. Mamas, they were too unbelievable. Now this is pretty fascinating. I'll tell you why. Rabba was Rabba's Rebbe, and Rav Chista was Rabba's father-in-law. So Rabba had the perspective of two people he was absolutely close to, who had diametrically different lives, totally different lives. Rabba, his Rebbe, poverty, died young, terrible yisurim, funerals. Rav Chista, his father-in-law, he was smart. He married the rich father-in-law, right? His Rav Chista was wealthy, and it was filled with bracha. Elamah had nothing to do. They both had equal schusim. How do you know? Because when they davened, it brought rain. So you see, they both were tzaddikim gemurim. That's why the Gemara prefaces it with they were contemporaries vis-a-vis the ability to bring rain. So the ability to daven and bring rain is a sign of tzidkus, as we saw in Masechta Tainis. Yeah, Rabbi Yehuda took off his shoe and it rained, right? And the other ones they were complaining. Chani Amagal, unbelievable. So both Rabbah and Rav Chista able to bring rain. Yet look at their lives. So it's a raya. Rabbah concluded that what? It has nothing to do with schusim, with tzidkus. It has everything to do with mazel. It has everything to do with the mazel that you're born under. Rav Chista smidi lekalbe. They had fine flour that they would feed to the dogs. And the dogs didn't even eat. They were so full. However, Rabbah in the house of Rabbah, Nahama the Sari, right? Inshi, they had not for dogs good fine flour. They had for people barley bread. None of us has ever tasted barley bread because there's a reason. It's nit geschmack. V'loy nishtakich. And guess what? And there wasn't enough. So you see this unbelievable thing. So Rabbi concluded that what? that these three things were mazel. So now let's see Rashi over. Let's see Tosfos over here. Says Tosfos, Chavches, Ela Mazlo Talia Milsa. Says Tosfos, the Hikshu b'Tosfos, Hod Amorim b'Sleif Shabbos. That it says in Masechta Shabbos, Ein Mazel Yisrael. There's no Mazel Yisrael. V'yesh Loimar Dilfa'amim Mishtana Ayidei Mazel. Sometimes it changes. Ki Hanu the Hasam, like those over there. Upamim Shein Mishtana K'Namina B'Tainis. Gabe Rav Elazar ben Padas, who was so poor. The Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Rav Elazar ben Padas, Nichel Echad the Achriv Alma. Do you want me to destroy the world? Do Ulai Ebra be'idna de Mezayne, that you'll be born in a time of Mezaynis? And we asked them when we did that Gemara, why didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu just go and said, change the world, just change his mazel? And the answer is, sometimes you can't. And the only way to do it would be to redo the world. So Tosfos over here says that sometimes mazel changes, sometimes it doesn't change. Tosfos over here in Kufnan Vav and Shabbos, he gives a different teretz. Right? Tosfos over here in Kufnan Vav, Masechta Shabbos, Ein Mazel Yisrael, V'Hada Oma Rava B'Sheli Moed Katan. Interesting. In Moed Katan, we asked him the Gemara in Shabbos. In Gemara in Shabbos, asked the Moed Katan and quotes our Gemara. Banai Chayim Zoyne Labiskus Talia Milsa Ela B'Mazel Talia Milsa. I Ein Mazel B'Yisrael. How can you say there's no Mazel to Yisrael and then say, guess what? Children and Parnasa and health depend upon on Mazel. It says M'Kamokam Al Yidei Schus Gadol Mishtana. It could change to a Schus Gadol. Sometimes it doesn't change. Okay, so it seems that it's subject to change. Now, there's a difference between the mazel of a tzibur and the mazel of a yachid. Ein mazel Yisrael, some people say means on Klal Yisrael, and yesh mazel Yisrael means goes on the individual. Now, even the individual, fellas, can change. It can't partially can't change, but we know different things change. We've been through different Gemaras. Mishana Mokaim, Mishana Mazel. Mishana Shmoy. We changed a person's name who's sick. Chaim, Raphael. Well, why do we change the name? To go ahead and change the Mazel. We had a Gemara earlier. If a person feels a tremendous taiva for an Aveira, put on black clothing and go to another place. Not as a heta, but what? You'll go ahead, you'll change your rutzin. By going to another place, your whole taiva will leave you. So too, by changing your place, it can Mishana Mokim, can Mishana Mazel. There's not only very famous Gemara. Now it's not exactly totally in Mazel, it's totally in Psak Halacha, but I'll give you, it's a very good mashal. There's a very famous Psak about tuberculosis. There was a person. Now everyone says his name. I heard of B'Shem of Chaim Moisa. There was a person who was sick in Vilna, and he had some type of disease in his lungs. And Rav Chaim Moisa told him to move there to Yisrael, and they told him why. It's because here we pass like the Ramah, and that's a sircha. Go to Eretz Yisrael, we pass like the Beis Yosef over there, or vice versa. I'm not sure who says what. But again, that locale change will change what? The psak, just like the avira of psak exists in a place, so to the mazel. Mishana Shma, Sarai ein lo ben, Sarah yesh lo ben, Avram ein lo ben, Avraham. So again, mazel is very subjective. You could, in fact, what? Change mazel. You could change mazel through tefillah, ma'asim tovim, but yesh mazel Yisrael, a person has a certain propensity to be a certain way. A person's chachma, a person's strength, a person's physical being, brios is what is that is mazel. So again, it's you're not limited. To think that you're limited, this is the way I am, but we know you're not, because I call b'dei shemayim chutz miyir shemayim. Everything's b'dei shemayim chutz miyir shemayim, which leads into the next Gemara, which is to me is problematic, as we'll see in a second. Says the Gemara, V'amar Rava hani tlas mili boy kamei shmaya. I asked three things from Shemayim. Tarti Yavli, two they gave me. Chadal Yavli, one they didn't. Chachmasei de Rav Huna. I asked for the wisdom of Rav Huna. Oisrei de Rav Chista, and the wealth of Rav Chista. V'Yavli, and they gave it to me. However, an Vusanasua, the Rabbi Rav Huna, I asked for the Anivis of Rabbi Rav Huna and Lo Yavli. Now, of course, they didn't give it to me. I call me the Shemayim. Anivis has nothing to do with Mazel. It's nothing to do with mazel. It has to do with your actions, right? So what do you mean? It's kind of schwer. It's kind of schwer. That nivus is kind of schwer. I don't know. Maybe a mahalach. Maybe. But certain things can go ahead and help. So, for example, you go to a rebbe for a bracha, right? For health, for parnasa. He can't change it. He can't change it. What he could do is he could go ahead and maybe you'll meet the right person. He can facilitate outside things that would make it easier for you. So maybe Anivus, you be put in a position to be an honor, but not, you yourself are going to have to make the decision. But there's certain, you won't meet people who will test you, or you will meet people that test you when you develop Anivus. It could be something like that. Perhaps that's a suggestion. I don't know if you could. I mean, I don't know if that's again. That's Kobi de Shemayim, right? That already is.
By blood, you can become a mile or
That's a mazel. That's a mazel. That's that's not personality. That's a mazel. How to go ahead? You're born under a dove is born on the mamal Kima. Kima is the red planet, right? It's in Mars. So therefore, he's blood. He has propensity for blood. So how do you know? You don't have to be a murderer. You can go ahead and subjugate that in a certain direction. Says the Gemara Vaita. So Rav Sa'orim or Rav with a Sa'orim with a sim. Achua, the very, very crazy Gemara now. Achua the Rava, he was the brother of Rava. Haviyafsel Kamei Rava, Rav Sa'or was sitting in front of Rava. Chazi da become namni. So Rava was sleeping. Rashi says he was a geisis. Rava was dying. Amalei, so Rav Sa'or said to Rava, Leima lamar the Litzarin. Rava said to Rav Sa'or, tell the Malach Mavas not to pay me. Amalei, so Rav Sa'or said back to Rava, Mara Lav Shesvina, aren't you friends with the Malach Hamavis? Do it yourself. Amalei, so Rava said, Kivin the Imsa Mazla Layashkech Base. Since my Mazla it's given over, I can't. So Amalei, so Rav Sa'or said to Rava, Lischazi Limar, after you died, please come back to me and tell me how was death. Ischazi Lei, and he came back to him. Amalei, so Rav Sa'or said, Havilei Lamar Tzara, did you have Tzara? Amalei, Kirivda the Kasilta, like the knife of a bloodletter. Mamish, like the dentist telling you you'll only feel a little pinch. One of the greater lies of all time. You'll only feel a little pinch, and then you feel the Novocaine going up your nostril. Rava have Yosef Kamei Rav Nachman. Rava was sitting in front of Rav Nachman. Chazid Kamanami, so he was dying. Amalei Lema Lamar, so Rav Nachman told Rava that he should go ahead and tell the Malach HaMavis not to mitzarim. Amalei Mar Lav Adam Choshevu. So Rava said to Rav Nachman, "You're Adam Choshev." Amalei, so he said, "Man Choshev, Man Sofin, Man Rakia." Well, basically, who's awesome, who's exalted. In this situation, no one's in a good place. Amalei, the Schazli Mar, come to me after you die. The Schazli came to him, so Rav Nachman came to Rava. Amalei, Havilei L'Matzar, did you have tsar? Amalei, Mishchal Benisa Michal, like taking a hair out of milk. It's the Gemara in Brachas. They're taking a hair out of milk. The Kadosh Baruch Hu seal bahu alma. However, Kadosh Baruch Hu said to me, "Come back to this next world. God harvest that as you were. Like I went why the nafish be susay because why I'm scared of malchamavis. V'laza havi ka'achol truma. He was eating truma. Ischazi lay the malchamavis. He saw the malchamavis. Amalei truma chal nilna v'lav kadosh shikri. In other words, you're going to make me kill me, and the truma is going to be what, and it's going to become tamei. So the malchamavis left him alone. Surprisingly, chalfulei shaita. Rav Shei, he gave him more time. Rav Sheishas Chazalei Beshuka, he saw the Malach Mavis in the street. Amalei Beshuka Behema, you're going to kill me in the street like a behema? He still got me basically come to kill me in the house. Rav Ashi is Chazalei Beshuka, he met him in the street. Amalei Israchli Tilsi Yom. Rav Ashi said, do me a favor. Cut me a little slack. Give me 30 days. Hadri Talmudei, that I should be able to go chazu all my learning. That Misai Ashrei Misha Bala kind of a Talmud B'Yadai, right? Famous Shreki song, right? Great songs of all time. With Hamuda Biyadai. So give me a chance. Anyway, he did. Beyond Tilson Asa, but yeah, he didn't give him more than that. Day 30, he showed up. Amalei Rav Ashi told him, "My kulahai and the kadach garagle. My kulahai stop, but come on." So it's day 30 is not over yet. So he told him, "Kadach garagle de Barnasim." Rav Huna Barnasim. He was the Rosh Hashiva in Bavel after Rav Ashi. And it came his time. One Malchus cannot go ahead and enter the other one, Kimali Nima. We had a Gemara in Brachas that Shol showed up. right? Shaul showed up, and the girls, they were schmoozing with him one of the reasons is to delay him because he got there too early, and it had to be the time that Shaul would show up and Shmuel would go down. It had to be the exact same time. Rav Chisda, the Malach Mavos was not able to overcome. He didn't stop learning. Solik Yosef Arzli, he went and sat in a cedar tree. The Beirav, Poka Arzli, he broke the branch for Shosak. Rav Chisda was quiet. V'yochalei, and Malach Mavos took him. V'yochalei Rav Chisda. V'yochalei. Rav Chia lehavi matzeh karvelei. Again, Rav Chia also was learning all the time. He wasn't able to get him. Yumachad idmilei ke'anya. He showed up at his front door like an ani. Asa tarif above. He banged on the door. Amalei offically rifta. Give me a little what? Give him a little bread. Afikale gave him bread. Amalei v'lav kamarachim mara anya. Right. So you just like you have rachmanas on an ani. Ahu gavra my like kamrachim mara. Why don't you have rachmanas on me? In other words, let me do my job. So Galilei. He went ahead, he revealed himself, and fire came shooting out of him, and that took Rav Chia. So it's a very strange Gemara. Okay, the next Gemara is we have the Mishnah, and then we have some very difficult Aramaic words that I will go to the art scroll for. Nashim b'moed ma'anos, women on the moed ma'anos. Ma'anos, they wail. We're going to see what that means. So Nashim on Chol HaMoed, they're able to ma'anos. They can't go ahead and bang. We saw metafres yesterday is to bang their hands against each other or against their thigh. They can't bang. Those that are next to the mitzvah, the bed that the mace is on, can go ahead and metafres and clap. Rosh Hashanah, Chanukah, Purim, on Rosh Hashanah, on Rosh Chodesh, and Chanukah and Purim, the ma'anos stayed there. They could go ahead and be metafres. In other words, on the Chol HaMoed you can't be metafres, but you could be ma'anos. On Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah and Purim, you can do both. But neither one on Chol HaMoed or Chodesh, Chanukah, and Purim, it can be mekaynos. The Gemara will make the distinction between ma'anos and mekaynos. Nikvar ames, once the dead is buried, loy ma'anos, loy metapres, neither one. Eza inoi, what is considered inoi? What's considered ma'anos, guys? Shekulin oina kachas. They all wail as one. And kino, what is kaynos? What is kino? What's a lament? Shachas medaberes, one goes in and leads them. Kulin oinos achrecha, and they go ahead and answer after her. So oinos means it's like a duet, and mekaynos is like about one person says, and they all go ahead and copy. Shnemar, it says, Vila meidna b'nosechem nehi. They should learn what? Mourning. Ve'isha reusa kina. A woman to a reusa, to a friend kina. So you go from one woman to the friend. So you lead in the kina. You're leading. We finished the Masechta in the Mishnayos with the beautiful Bila Mavas the Netzach Umach Hashem Elokim Dima Me'al Kalponim. By the time that Kadosh Baruch will swallow up death. Now the Gemara is going to give a series of cryptic messages, of what was going on. Manoma, what would they say? When they would go ahead and they would say a eulogy, they would say a hesped. What would they say? So Amar Rav said, Vaila Azla, woe to the mahalach you went on. Vaila Chavila, woe to the mashkin. In other words, you took a trip, right? You took a trip, and now you're not going to return, and now you have to return the mashkin. You have to return the soul to your creator. Amar Rava, Nishei Chansiv, the woman of the towns of Chansiv, Amra Hachi. They would say again that what you just said. Vaila Azla, Vaila Chavila. Amar Rava, Nishei Chansiv Amra. They would say, good garma mikacha, the nimte ma'il antiche. The drawer drops and the water goes backwards. It goes back to the kettle, meaning the shama is going back. This is the type of cryptic hespedim they gave. Rava, Nishei the Shanchi Ami, they said, Ata v'kisei ture, wrap yourself, cover the mountains. Devar romi ubaravri, about Ravi who. So, what was the pshat over here? Is that the sky over the mountains they should darken as a sign of mourning for the guy who died. V'amar Rava, Nishei the shechansiv amran, shiul itztala de milsa. The coffin has a robe of silk, levar chayrin, to a free man. The shlimu zavade. In other words, I guess he had money in his lifetime. He had money in his lifetime, but once he was dead, now what? He's poor. He has to, I guess he's poor now. Weiter, Vama Rava, Nishei the Shinchansiv Amrin, Achona tagore azavzege mi. I skipped. Royet v'nafel amabra v'zufta Yosef. He runs and falls at the crossing that he borrowed. He runs and falls at the crossing. He was busy all his life getting schayra, but recently he fell in hard times, and now he's crossing from this world to the next world. That's what it means. So now he has to pay for his tachrichin. Next, it says, Achona tagori azavzege midavkin. The brothers, the merchants, the nest, they'll go ahead and they'll be searched. So the nest are places of business, and they're going to search to determine whether the person was honest or not. This is the meaning of these different hespedim. And finally, Vamarava, Nishei Dishanchansiv Amrin, Moisa ki Moisa Umarin Chibula. One death is like another death, and suffering is the interest. Deaths are the same to all people, right? You all have to go ahead and pay back the loan. You give your soul. But the additional suffering is the interest on the loan. And that would be that's the pshat over here. Okay. Oof, yeah, that was not easy. But thank you, Atzko. Tanya, Hayaremeya Aimer. Toivel leches la beis Avel, better to go to beis Avel than to go out to beis Mishta. Adachai yitain el liboy. Dvarim shalmisa. The Yisbe Yesavduna, those that he's maspid, people who maspid him. The Yikvar, if he buries other people, Yikrune, they'll bury him. The Yitan, if he carries other people's bodies, Yitanune, they'll carry him. The Dal, he raises his voice in mourning. Yad Luna, they'll raise the voice for him. The army, Dal Yidal, right? That if he's not a Balgaiva, he makes himself Dal, he's not a Balgaiva, then Yidloine, they'll go ahead and they'll cry for him. Yachsiv ki toiv amalecha alehena. This is the old pasuk. Tanabanan. Kishemesu barashal bishmal. Leilenu Bishmal lost two children in very close proximity. Nichasu dalas zakeinu lenachem. They forced the Canaan they entered to go ahead and menachem him. Reb Tarfin, Reb Yosi Aglili, Reb Elazar ben Azariah, Reb Akiva, mamish 4 heavy hitters. Amalhem Reb Tarfin. You be careful. Shechachem gadol hu. Reb Yishmael zechachem gadol. Uboki ba gadois. Al yichnes echad. Don't go ahead. Each one say it separately. What they were worried about is that since he may forget his avelis and get involved in the conversation. So be short, cryptic, and sweet. In other words, don't get engaged each other, because that's going to go ahead and lead Rabbi Shmuel to go ahead and engage, and he's not supposed to learn. So Rabbi Akiva and the Achroin says Rabbi Akiva, I'll go last. So what's pshat? There's 2 pshatim. One, that he figured that he won't step on anyone's toes, and he's big machadish, and he can go last. Another one's the Anivus of Rabbi Akiva. The Anivus of Rabbi Akiva. How can I go first? I was thinking, fellas, that Rabbi Akiva is a Gilgal of Moshe. Rabbi Akiva is a Gilgal of Moshe Rabbeinu. So Vayish Moshe Anavoid Mekaladam. Right? So Pashtetach he would go last. Right, you go last, right? And Pasuk Rabbi Shmuel v'Amar Rabbi Avoy Naisav. Rabbi Shmuel saying again. Rabbi Shmuel. They can't talk to him first. He's the oval. He has to talk to them first, right? So what happened? Pasuk Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel opened up. V'Amar Rabbi Avaynaisav. Many are our Avaynais. Tachbuhu Avelov. My Avelis has been, one after the other, successing. Hitriach Rabbaisav, and I was Parmishreinu Shliya, and now I'm being Matriach the Rabbanim to come a second time. So then Rabbi Tarfin V'Amar V'Achechim Kol Beis Yisrael. And it says, your brothers, Beis Yisrael, Yifchu es ha-sreifa. They'll die for the sreifa of Nadav Avihu. Nadav Avihu, they went, they brought an Eish Zolov Hashem, they were nifta. And now, your brothers, V'aloi devarim kal v'chayma. Umad Nadav Avihu. Shloi asu el mitzvah achas. They did one mitzvah, d'chsev, v'yakrivu b'nei Aaron es Adam, a love. Now, it doesn't mean they only did one mitzvah. This is the mitzvah that's somech to their death. They did many more mitzvahs. But the mitzvah that's somech to their death is they did the srika of the carbon. And they did one mitzvah, and everyone in Klal Yisrael is coming to be maspid them. That what says Rabbi Tarfin, that the children of Rabbi Yishmael who did many mitzvahs, that all Klal Yisrael what in Menachem. Then Rabbi Yosef Glili Varmu, the Softul Klal Yisrael, the Kavru Isai. They went ahead and they were now a little background. Yeravim ben Nevat was a Rosh Merusha. What did Yeravim do? He started the Malchus. He split the Malchus. He went up north. He set up 2 Eglei Zav up there. He would not allow people to be oil l'regel. He put up sentries to stop the people, and therefore we split. We had Malachei Yehuda in Yehuda, and we had Malachei Yisrael up in the Shomron. Okay, Now, he had a son, Avia. He had a son, Avia. Avia did something, a big mitzvah. You know what he did? We're going to see in the Gemara. So it says, "V'saftu loy kol Yisrael." All of Kol Yisrael was maspid Avia. The kavrei site. V'dvarim kal v'chaymahu. Uma Avia ben Yeravam. Shlo yaseh el davar echad. Toiv. He only did one good thing. Dichsiv bei ya'an nimtza ba toiv v'toiv. Kach boiler shol v'shmol achas kam v'kama. How many Devarim Toivim they did that they should be zeicha to all Yisrael should be masabel? My davar toiv. What's the davar toiv? Rav Zera Rav Chinna bar Papa. Chad Amar shepitul mishmarasai. They left their post as the centuries, and they were the regel. They went ahead and they mevatel the whole shift. So that's what they did, and as a result of that, they got a hesped gadol. Right? You, your children. Then Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Vamar. This is speaking about Tzidkiyahu HaMelech, the last king of Klal Yisrael. Tzidkiyahu was, of course, he rebelled. He swore to Nebuchadnezzar to be loyal to him. After Nebuchadnezzar put Yechanya in Galus, it took him out, and he reestablished Tzidkiyahu. And then Tzidkiyahu rebelled, and then Leilenu, he tried to escape through a cave. He showed up on the other side, and there was the soldiers. They got him. They took out his eyes. They put him in bubble. He didn't have a good end. Anyway, B'Shalom Tamas. Guess what? The Nabi says you'll die b'Shalom. And they'll burn your father. They'll burn like they burned your fathers. Meaning, used to burn the possessions of the king. They used to burn his bed, his kalim. Other kings didn't use it. It's a sign of covet. So guess what? For you, they'll burn as well. They'll burn for you. What did he do? The Yirmiyahu, who was forecasting the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, they finally got sick of him. They threw him they wanted to kill him. They filled him in a bar of quicksand. And came along, Tzidkiyahu took him out. And then I found Rabbi Kiva, V'amar, Vayomahu Yigdal HaMisped B'Yushalayim. That day, there'll be a misped in Yerushalayim. K'misped Hajadrimoin B'Bikas Magidai. So we had this Gemara, guys. We had it 2 places. We had it in Megillah. We had it in Rosh Hashanah. So what is this over here? It makes no sense. We have no historical eulogy of a person named Hadrimoin in the valley of Megiddo. What does it mean? From Rabbi Yosef, not for the targum of this pasuk in Megillah. I said we have it in Rosh Hashanah. I thought so, maybe not. But in Megillah for sure. Maybe not Rosh Hashanah. I'm sorry. Megillah, I'm mixing up. The high crop. Lehavi my kamar. I wouldn't know. Who yaske mispada b'Yushalayim. In this time there'll be a hesped in Yerushalayim. Kemisbada the Achav ben Omri, like the hesped of Achav, the son of Omri, the Katal Yasei Hadrimoin bar Tavrimon, who was killed in battle by Hadrimoin, and the second one who kemisbed the Yoshiyahu bar Amoin, the Katal Yasei Paroi Chagira Pargenachei Par the Pahinkadika, killed him Bikas Megiddo. So in other words, Hadrimoin being the hesped in Bikas Megiddo is speaking about 2 separate hespedim. The hesped Rabbi Hadrimoin is not for Hadrimoin; it's for the person that Hadrimoin killed. Who did Hadrimoin kill? He killed Achav. And who is the hesped in Bikas Megiddo? That's for Yeshayahu. Now, Olivarim Kalvachaymer Umach Achav Melech Yisrael Shlei Yaseh El Davar Echad Toiv. He only did one good thing in his life. T'chsiv by Melech Hayamayim B'Merkava Melech Aram. He was he was mortally wounded, but he put himself up in the chariot that people should see him, that they shouldn't go ahead in battle. Chas v'shalom, the king fell down. Their spirits might be low, and they may go ahead and retreat. Kach b'nav shlo b'shmo lachas kam v'kama. Amalei Rav l'Rabba b'Amari ksiv be'Tzidkiyahu b'sholem tamus uksiv es einei Tzidkiyahu iver. So 1 second. You're telling me he died b'sholem? As I just told you, he poked out his eyes. Amalei hachem Rabbi Yochanan. Shemeis Nebuchadnezzar b'yamav. You know what the Shalom Tammuz? His arch enemy Nebuchadnezzar died before he did. He was let out of prison, guys. You know what? He died the next day. Tzidkiyahu was let out of prison. He died the next day. So that's the B'Shalom Tammuz. He'll die B'Shalom, knowing the knowledge that Nebuchadnezzar died. V'amarav l'Rabba b'Amari ksiv baby Yoshiyahu, and then it says Yoshiyahu is also it's mamish that he only did one good thing. It's mamish he died a good way. You will be gathered onto your fathers, and you will be gathered into the burial places. B'Shalom, uksiv, We say every Tisha B'Av, guys, what happened to Yoshio? He was mamish. How many arrows hit him? He was like Avam Rav Yehuda Marav Asu Kikavra. So many arrows hit him. He made like a calendar, like a sieve. So you tell me that's he's dying b'shalom? I'm like Hachim Rabbi Yochanan. You know what the shalom was? That the Beis Hamikdash was not what destroyed in his day. So Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we'll finish the Masechta. 7:45 will be on the air, and we'd love to have virtual eating, but unfortunately Zoom cannot do that yet. Right? For the Point Pleasant and the Baltimore, Philadelphia, you'll be here. Okay, very looking forward. Okay, see you tomorrow night, guys.